Mommy's Garden. Welcome back. Today is a big seed starting day. It is February 25th. I am 9 weeks out from my last frost date of April 30th here in Zone 5B, and I am growing a bunch of hardy annuals, starting them today. Now, I've already started some of these that needed to be started a little earlier, but the varieties I'm starting today. We have 5 different flowers, 12 different varieties. Let's get right into what I'm working with now. First, we have Bupleurum and Larkspur. 2 different varieties of Larkspur. I'm doing QIS Blue and the Galilee mix. These 2 needed to be put into the freezer to have a cold stratification period before I got them out. So that was for 2 weeks. I popped them in the freezer. I got them out this morning, and now we're ready to plant them. Next, we have Calendula, the Flashback mix, and also a touch of red. Then Bachelor Buttons, Classic Fantastic, Classic Romantic, and last but not least, Stock. Iron Apricot, Iron Cherry, Katz Cherry Blossom, Katz Yellow, and Katz Ruby. Now, the most hardy out of the varieties that I am starting today are the Bachelor Buttons, the Bupleurum, and the Larkspur, meaning if a frost comes through, they need less protection than the others. The semi-hardy varieties are the rest of them, which would be Calendula and Stock. For the semi-hardy varieties, because I am in a zone that is lower than a zone 7, if a frost comes through, I would want to put a frost cloth over them or have them somewhere with a little bit more protection from the frost to make sure they make it. Some of these can take a light frost. I know Calendula can take a light frost, but still to be on the safer side with those semi-hardy varieties, some type of protection would be helpful. Now today I have 180 cells that I'm going to be using. So 2 72 cell trays and this little 50 cell tray. So I want almost even amount of everything. Some things I'm gonna do a little more of like the Stock, some a little less like the Larkspur. So if I divide that by 12 varieties, I'm getting about 15 of each, 15 cells. So let's get this going. I'm going to start with getting my seed starting mix moistened and mixed to the point where if I pack it into a ball, it'll remain in that ball, but if I squeeze it, there's not a lot of water or hardly any water pouring out of there. I get asked often where I got my tray from. I got it from Amazon, but I know you can also get it on Gardener's Supply. Excellent. Now I'm going to come in and make sure that I've got soil in each of these cell trays. I'm going to do all of them and then I'll wash my hands so I can handle the seeds. Okay, next I need to make sure that I write my ID tags down and put them in first so I don't forget what I put where, because that would happen. And I'm using a garden marker so that it doesn't rub off easily. I also write the company on the back that I got it from, or an initial of the company, and the date that I sowed it. Okay, now it's time to plant our seeds. So I'm gonna come through and stake where I want each variety to start ahead of time. So I'm keeping things that have similar qualities together, such as the Bupleurum and Larkspur, because they both don't like to germinate over 55 degrees. So I want them in the same cell tray. So with these, I'm actually thinking I am going to plant them, and then because they don't like temperatures above 55 degrees to germinate, I'm gonna put these out in my cold frame or greenhouse, but it's not heated, so it's a cold frame. Because my basement is heated and it stays around 72 to 74, and I think that's just too warm for them to germinate well. So I've not started them like this before. I've never actually started them. I just did Larkspur last year in winter sowing, and Bupleurum is a new one for me. So this will be an experiment and we'll see how it goes, but it's time to mark out where I want each variety to start, and then we'll get the seeds in the dirt. Here I'm simply marking out where I want each variety to start and how many of each, because some I want a few more than others. So I'm basing it around that number of 15, but then going a little more or a little less depending on which tag I have. I'll go through and make myself some little holes first. So first we're getting the Bupleurum and Larkspur into this cell tray. They like to be 1/4 of an inch deep and lightly covered with soil. So let's get them in with my hand and put about 2 in each cell. And then I'll go through and cover them up and put vermiculite over the top of them at the end. Bupleurum, if you're not familiar, is a good filler flower, meaning it's greenery that can fill in space in the bouquet that's not a vocal flower or supporting flower, but still gives a nice look to the bouquet. You could think of it as a supporting act or even more like a background character, an extra, but still important for the whole picture to come together. Next is the Galilee Larkspur. Same thing, about 1/4 of an inch deep and about 2 per cell. This mix is from Botanical Interests. So as far as some other hardy annuals that I've already planted that needed to be started a little earlier than these, we have things like sweet peas, snapdragons, things such as that that can handle the cold. And then I'm gonna put vermiculite on top of these. Again, they need darkness to germinate, so I can do a nice layer here. The vermiculite helps with moisture control and also helps prevent algae growth. Finish up in this corner here. And then the last step will come in and water it in. Make sure everything settles nicely. Next, we've got our Calendula. So Touch of Red Buff is from Seed Savers Exchange. I think I said earlier Touch of Red. It's technically Touch of Red Buff. And Flashback Calendula. This one says plant 1/4 of an inch deep. This one says half. So I'm going in between those two, and really, I think my 1/4 an inch and my 1/2 an inch are pretty much the same anyways. Again, I'm gonna come through and do 2 in each. And since I'm doing this now, I'm just gonna go through and do the whole tray. And this says the Flashback mix is a blend of 2 to 3 inch blossoms in satiny shades of orange, apricot, rosy peach, and cream, with many petals backed with deep red or maroon. And this Flashback, well, one went flying. This Flashback mix is Renee's Garden. Again here, I'm coming in and going about 2 per cell. Done with those. Next we have Classic Fantastic and Classic Romantic, the Bachelor Buttons. And these seeds are from Swallowtail Seeds. Still putting 2 to 3 in each cell. I've not grown the Classic Fantastic Bachelor's Button, which is a mix of pinks and coral colors, so I'm excited to see what those look like in person. You could also direct seed these. I'm choosing to try and start a bunch of seeds this year to get an earlier bloom time, but Bachelor Buttons I direct seeded last year and they did okay. They weren't my best crop by any means, so we'll see if it makes a difference starting them from seed. Next into stock, we're gonna go Iron Cherry first. Hey Google, what time is it?
It's 5:32.
Okay, I've gotta hurry because I've gotta pick my son up in 10 minutes. I need to leave, so we're gonna move through these. This is what the stock looks like. All of these are from Johnny's Seeds. Germination is 65 to 75 degrees, so I'm gonna be able to keep these inside. These a little bit as far as, apricot is next, as far as time. On the seed packet, it says start 4 to 6 weeks, but I'm gonna push them and start them now. I think they will be okay. I hope so. Also with stock, they have a gorgeous, beautiful smell. To me, it kind of smells like a grandma's house in a very good way. And a lot of flower farmers or growers will only use the double blooming phlox, which means that the petals have a double bloom on them. Katz Ruby is next. And the way that you can tell if your seedlings have a double bloom or a single bloom is by the way the cotyledons look, if they're fused or not, as well as the color of the seedling. So when I go through to thin, I really don't care if I have singles or doubles at this point. I guess I probably should thin out more singles because florists and things tend to like the doubles better. Is that a hint that I might be selling flowers this year? We'll see. But I'll go into how you can differentiate when the time actually comes to do that. Hey Google, what time is it?
5:38.
Katz Cherry Blossom is next. Whoo, I'm really racing the clock now. I think I missed a whole row of the Katz Ruby. Oh boy, got some stock. Getting into the touch of red buff, Calendula. Oh boy, oh boy. You don't have to be this panicked and erratic when you're doing this at home. Unless you're racing the clock too. Last one, yellow stock. Hey Google, what time is it?
It's 5:41.
Woo! 4 minutes. Okay, let's cover them up. When I'm going through here, if I see as I'm covering them up that the soil is going down even further, I'm just refilling with some more soil. Like that one's about down halfway to the cell. Give that a little more coverage. And actually I could just go through and cover it up to make this go a little faster if I really wanted to. So let's do that. Hey Google, what time is it?
It's 5:45.
Oh boy, oh boy. Okay, vermiculite, and then we're done. Vermiculite on there. Again, all of these are buried. They don't need light to germinate, so I'm being very free with the vermiculite and then watering them in. Okay, so after these are all watered in, these two trays that don't have Bupleurum and Larkspur in them will go under my grow lights and will germinate that way. The Bupleurum and Larkspur will go into the greenhouse to germinate because they need to be at 55 degrees or lower. And that is it. Please comment below and let me know your favorite hardy annuals to start or what you're starting now. And subscribe to my channel if you want to follow along here with all things garden. Thanks for watching and we'll see you in the next one. Bye. I'm off, I'm off, I'm off.